有感觉到现在是我整体来说实力最强的一次吧，也是我们团队最强。我来到这里是为了拿到冠军。
Welcome to the Zenith Arena, live from Paris, France, home of one of the most legendary crowds esports has ever known. And here you see them now. They do not disappoint with their level of energy and their level of noise as they support their two teams who are about to do battle in our first semifinal bout of the MSI knockout stage. Of course, you're getting a look at the Champs-Élysées here in the City of Lights, a magnificent backdrop for a tournament that has delivered along every stage to this point. Hello, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson, joined by Joshua Jatleesman, Andrew Vedias Day, and Indiana Frosker in black. I've only gotten to experience the Parisian crowd through my own headset back in Los Angeles. Jat, you've been here before. Is it already measuring up to everything it's ever been?
It's something else. We were here in 2014. They're just as passionate here today, and I can't wait for this weekend.
Yeah, just the historic matchup here going all the way back to All-Stars. Sorry if I sound like I'm yelling, the crowd just erupted behind me.
It's almost hard to hear ourselves even with our own audio being pumped into our headsets. It's not just us here bringing you the party along the way. We also have our 15 other broadcast teams on standby to bring the show to fans across the world. Here you see them now, a truly global event. And with that, we are just approaching the time for the teams to take the stage. And so with the energy filling the arena, it's starting to heat up already. I can feel it. Let's send it over to Chips and Noir to welcome today's semifinalists.
Et aujourd'hui, on va s'il vous plaît pouvoir accueillir les deux premières équipes demi-finalistes. S'il vous plaît, veuillez faire un tonnerre d'applaudissements pour les RNG, champions de la Chine, menés par leur leader, le légendaire Uzi. S'il vous plaît, ce sont les monstres à battre, les favoris du tournoi. Ils sont sortis premiers de leur phase de groupe. Encore une fois, un tonnerre d'applaudissements pour les RNG. Sur la top lane, let's me. Dans la jungle, le vétéran Corsa. Sur la mid lane, un monstre mécanique, Xiao. Et on a des carries, bien sûr, le légendaire Uzi. Et afin de le soutenir, Ming. Ils seront accompagnés, bien entendu, de leur coach, Hurt. Et dans la jungle, en remplaçant le très agressif, MLXJ. S'il vous plaît, une fois de plus, applaudissons tous ensemble les RNG.
Et désormais, il est temps d'accueillir l'équipe qui joue à domicile. Vous les connaissez, ils sont champions d'Europe. Un tonnerre d'applaudissements, s'il vous plaît, pour les Fnatic. 6 fois champions d'Europe. Ils sont sortis des group stage suite à un tie-break décisif face au Team Liquid. Et ils viennent de nouveau à Paris, devant vous, défendre les couleurs européennes. Une nouvelle fois, tandis qu'ils montent sur la scène. Du bruit, s'il vous plaît, pour les Fnatic. Et sur la top lane, je vous demande d'accueillir comme il se doit le joueur à l'ascension fulgurante, Bouipo! Dans la jungle, le viking danois, du bruit pour Broxar! Sur la mid lane, le prodige européen, Caps! Au poste d'Anekari, le capitaine de l'équipe et icône de l'Europe, Ray Glaive! Et au poste de support, l'explosif Unisong! Et bien entendu, pour les accompagner, leur coach, Dylan Falco! Et au poste de remplaçant pour commencer ce match, un tonnerre d'applaudissements pour King Soa! S'il vous plaît, mesdames et messieurs, une dernière salle d'applaudissements pour le Nordique!
Mesdames et messieurs, les matchs vont bientôt commencer. Et s'il vous plaît, le Zénith, est-ce qu'on est bien présent pour ces matchs de folie?
No shortage of fans for that #1 seeded RNG, but they're staring down the barrel of a home crowd for the 4th seeded Fnatic. It is heating up in here and heating up fast.
We do say the home crowd Fnatic, but there are a lot of RNG fans who traveled here. There's a lot of signs in the crowd supporting that team, so a good showing from them too.
All we know is it's going to be loud, and we're going to have some great League of Legends today.
I can't wait to lose my voice, ladies and gentlemen. Today's competitors earned a spot in the Final Four after a group stage full of shocking results.
And I feel like the biggest surprise really was how hot and fast the Flash Wolves came flying out of the gate. No one expected anything from this LMS squad, and they delivered, seeded in our second semifinal tomorrow.
Yeah, also the fact that RNG and Flash Wolves are above Kingzone in the standings was a huge surprise because people were expecting total domination from those LCK champions.
Now for Fnatic, many expected them to be sitting at the top 4, but the road in which they got here was definitely a struggle. Many up and down performances. Eventually they secured the 4th place spot, but it was a back and forth series up against Team Liquid.
And finally, RNG, the favorites coming into today's semifinal, had a bit of a slow start, arrived late at the tournament, but really ramped up, which is why they are so respected today.
And both of our teams that are on stage today had to fight through a tiebreaker to get the seed that they earned, which resulted, of course, in this bracket where RNG's first place finish earned them the choice of opponent in today's semifinal match, where they elected to face Fnatic.
Yeah, no surprises there, seeing as Fnatic was 4 and 6 and needed to play the tiebreaker. They definitely weren't going to be selecting Kingzone, who even though they showed a little bit of vulnerability during the group stage, you don't want to face them in the semifinals regardless.
I mean, the reality is when you're looking at Kingzone, Korean teams in a best of 5 are always scary to go up against, so I think it makes a lot of sense that RNG would want to avoid that. I know a couple of fans were expecting them to perhaps go for the slightly tougher opponent, but we'll see how they stack up again here today.
All right, so once again, we introduce an EU representative versus a team from the LPL and what is turning out to be a rivalry of its own at international events.
Now that said, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news for European fans. The bad news is that the historical matchup between the EU LCS and the LPL is currently 15-28. It is not great, but most of that damage has been done in group stages. When it comes to best of series, it's technically 2 versus 2 with it completely tied.
And a year ago at MSI, it was G2, EU versus LPL, and they took them down 3-1. Worlds was a bit of a different story. This is clips from the quarterfinals of the World Championship, where even though Fnatic had just won a tiebreaker to make it into the best of 5, they lost 3-1.
And Caps did mention that this battle today would be a rematch from that quarterfinal matchup. And I think that both teams have evolved a lot since then. We've got some of the young players gaining more experience. They've gone through their own trials and tribulations. And now we get to see the development of that growth today.
That's the big thing here. While it is a rematch between the orgs, we have to consider the growth and evolution of these two squads from that World's quarterfinal matchup through the group stage to this point today.
And frankly, Fnatic have kind of gone through a rebuild a little bit. Yes, it's been up and down, but they were so dominant in their home domestic region. When they came in, it was just a question of, can this Fnatic that had domestic superstars show up on an international stage? And as far as Caps is concerned, absolutely.
Yeah, also keep in mind that they're playing with Bwipo despite playing most of the season with Soaz. A lot really did change for Fnatic in this group stage when compared to the Fnatic that was so dominant in the European LCS regular season.
And going up against RNG, it's going to be a tough opponent considering when you consider the first half of the groups, RNG went 2-3. Second half of the groups, 6-0. This team took a while to understand the meta and to find their form, but my God, have they found their form.
And it's really Uzi that is leading the charge right there. He said, this is the strongest that I have ever been. He is the king of ADCs, and we are sitting in an ADC meta.
And they're putting an unbelievable amount of resources towards him, letting him take jungle camps, letting him take multiple lanes of free farm in the mid game so he can power up to these absurd points and really start carrying games.
The question for me is if the rest of his team, like Xiaohu in particular, can stand up to the explosive nature of Caps.
Well, the paths that both of these teams took to get here had a lot to do with who was doing the heavy lifting throughout the group stage.
Yeah, we just talked about those insane numbers from Uzi. Yeah, they're pretty much giant. Reckless as well has been slumping, so it is really looking like a large mismatch on paper based on how many resources the teams are willing to put into them and also their output after they get gold.
It's actually terrifying how much work Uzi is able to do for his team. I think it is very easy right now to call him the best AD carry in the world. And for Reckless, who, as you identified, has been struggling, he's going to have to overcome a lot because he has a huge sense of pride for his fans. And to disappoint them would be a big burden on him throughout this series.
And of course, the question was on Reckless's effective champion pool. We know that he can play the Sivir. We know that he's brought out the Jhin, but we want more of that Xayah that he showed to really break the tiebreaker between North America and Europe.
Well, if we're looking at an advantage for RNG in the bot lane, I want to turn our attention to the mid lane as well. Xiaohu versus Caps. Caps coming up big for Fnatic throughout this tournament.
Caps has been such an impressive performer, especially when you consider what he was back at Worlds to what he is now. The growth that he's made in such a short amount of time to become one of the big carries for Fnatic is such a big deal for the young player.
And meanwhile, this is not the Xiaohu of MSI's past when he's getting these solo kills on Faker. Xiaohu has slowed down. Domestically, he was very inconsistent, started to warm up for playoffs, but really he's just playing fully into the Uzi strategy, making RNG a very binary team.
Yeah, and these are potentially two players that have struggled with consistency. Even though Caps has looked amazing, he has a frighteningly high death total, both in team fights, but also in isolated situations. There is a cost to all the aggression he's putting out in lane.
Well, there's going to be a ton of pressure on all four of these players today to dish out the damage, to carry their teams rather through the team fights. But now it's about that time when I want to turn my attention to you guys, put you on this spot. Here on our first semifinal of the tournament, I want to know who's going to run away with it and return on Sunday to go for the title. Jad, we're starting with you this time around.
Dash, back in November, this was a 3-1 series for RNG, and the teams have definitely changed from then. Caps has stepped up his game, and I think RNG has more heavily committed towards Uzi. But just looking at their performance in the group stage, I think Fnatic can jump out to an early lead, can take a game off of RNG, but the team fighting and the skill of Uzi, I think, will get them another 3-1 victory.
Our RNG 3-1, Bettius, what are you thinking?
Listen, Europe, things are not looking good for us right now. I think there is a clear way in which Fnatic could win this series, especially through Caps, but they're not going to do it today. I believe RNG will take the 3-1, and I think, unfortunately, Fnatic will need to surprise me if they want to take this series.
Another 3-1 here, Frost. What do you got?
I'm going to mix it up, and I'm going to say a 3-0. I think that Uzi has all of the momentum behind him. He wanted 2 championships. He's already got his LPL title, and you heard it in the opening tease. He wants that MSI title, and the only way he's going to stand up to Flash Wolves or Kingzone is if he 3-0s Fnatic today.
Now, something that we haven't talked about too much is the fact that Karsa is starting. You saw it there when the teams were announced as they lined up on the stage. And so, again, in the developing picture of how these teams interact, does that jungle matchup change the way you view this series here, starting with Karsa?
I actually think this is a bit of a strategy around the level 1s. Not necessarily that RNG have a plan for game 1, level 1, but they might suspect that the enemy team does. It's been kind of the nature, the blueprint of this tournament. And so if Xi, who is known for his very bizarre, aggressive, and creative pathing, is just sitting back and studying what Fnatic are doing, it could give them an edge later on in the series.
All right, well, there you have it. It's time to send it over to the casters to bring us into our first semifinal bout. Enjoy.
今天我发现，在评论席上有一位你 S3的老队友，你此时此刻有什么话想跟他说呢？
兄弟 ，S3我们没做到的，今年我一定帮你做到。
因为今天我们在最后留守了所有多的现场的召唤师，我们是不是要送一波福利给大家？